In 1995, Daniel Goleman, who wrote a book called Emotional Intelligence, said emotional intelligence is a different way of being smart. The difference between IQ and the emotional quotient is the fact that the emotional quotient isn't a destiny. As a leader in an organization or as part of a team, you know, those emotions, right, and kind of those characteristics, right, that we all have, being able to leverage those in the right way to put people in positions to, you know, perform at their best. Not everybody's going to think the same as you think. Not everybody's going to interpret things the same way you interpret them. And if you can understand that, whether you're, you know, leading a team, whether you're somebody on a team and you're, you know, sitting in a room listening to your boss and you're kind of like, what? I might not think they're right, but it's their opinion, right? It's their perspective. It's how they interpret a certain situation. And if, you know, we don't try and get our heads around kind of that perspective, we're never going to be able to connect with that person and build that relationship the right way. I'm a young leader, I'm 23. I'm running a team of 8. It's a global recruitment firm. It's a sales environment. I had been tasked with kind of standing up this business at that company. You know, I had made a lot of mistakes in the first 2 years. Managed people very poorly. I had managed some people well. I had, you know, started to lead a little bit. I had a young lady on my team who was like my number 2. Wicked smart, really nice, engaging, worked very hard, and was essentially kind of the person that I would go to if I needed any support in anything that we were doing. Well, there was a time period where we were really busy. So, you know, like both of us just heads down, plugging away, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., let's order some food, 10 p.m., you know, going home. And it was good because, you know, we were all making money. I mean, the business was growing, but obviously from a work-life balance standpoint, you know, it's a bit tough. As not only was she doing her job as a recruiter, she was also doing some of my job. Being the great guy that I am, I thought to myself, well, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pulling back some of these activities as far as going on client meetings, you know, maybe having some of these calls with some of our clients, because it's taking a lot of extra time for her to do those things. So, you know, some of the activities that she was responsible for from a client standpoint, like that didn't put money in her pocket, right? So I figured, I'll take some of those things away. I'm a great boss. So I said, you know, hey, you're going to this meeting today, take care of it for you, don't worry about it. Just keep plugging away, see you later. Right? So I, you know, kind of had a couple of these interactions. I, being the person that I was and, you know, wasn't great at reading people's minds, I figured, is there something I can implement that will help me get some of the answers to the test, if you will? That's where this worksheet came from and this exercise. I said, you know, I'll go through this exercise with my team because it'd be really cool. We'll all see, you know, how people think, what motivates them, because maybe I've got an interpretation of it, but it may not be the reality. So I did that. So, you know, I take this young lady with me, and I'm thinking, and she had turned in her sheet, and I looked at it, and like the number 1 and 2 were the same. I'm like, no wonder she's a rock star. She's just like me, right? So I sit down with her, and I said to her, you know, number 1, right, autonomy and control over decisions. What does it mean to you? And I knew what it meant to me already, but I asked what it meant to her. Well, she said, you know, she wants to be directed in certain tasks that she should be responsible for, but once given those tasks, she gets to see them through to the end, you know, and she's allowed to kind of pull in resources as needed, but, you know, she's empowered, let's say, to act on whatever, you know, task or responsibility has been given her. I was like, okay, and I was like, I do that all the time with you. I'm like, I'm great. Yeah. And I said, you know, well, give me an example, you know, when you felt that. And she said, well, you know, I don't know what I've done wrong recently, but I feel like, you know, I was given this responsibility to be kind of an account recruiting manager, and you've been taking some of those responsibilities away from me. Mm-hmm. And I probably looked like I fell out of my chair. I was just like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, you know, the other day, like I was supposed to go meet this client, and you went to my place. And she's like, and then, you know, 2 weeks before, I was going to, you know, put this proposal together, and I was going to go and sit down with this group, and, you know, you did it in my stead. And I'm like, sorry. You know, I just want you to know that in my mind, the reason that I was taking some of these things away from you is because I saw you sitting here, you know, at 8, 9 p.m. at night, you know, Monday through Friday. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want that for you. And I figured if I take some of these things off your plate, you can get home earlier, you know, and you'll think I'm this great boss. She's like, yeah, that didn't happen. I almost, she's like, if this had continued for a couple more weeks and we probably hadn't had this conversation, she would have left the organization. I tell this story because it was a big, aha moment for me. Again, that intent versus impact that I was saying before highlights emotional intelligence. When you think you're trying to do something and you have a certain intent, like when I was taking this responsibility away from this young lady on my team, it was all positive from where I was coming from, but that impact was very negative. Not recognizing that, not trying to work to correct that in situations moving forward is limiting. Because if you can't figure that out, they're not going to give you more responsibility to take on a bigger team, right? I mean, if you have a hard time managing a team of 5, why are they going to have you manage a team of 20, team of 50, etc. So with that, though, you're kind of wired to react to emotions in a certain way. It's not your fault. That something's going to kind of set you off or something's going to make you feel a certain way, and then you're not going to be able to articulate kind of how you feel in the best way possible because you're not giving yourself the chance to process it. Like, I don't like people who are like, it's not my job. Like, what? Kind of thing. You get an email and you're like, why'd they use capital letters? Yes. What's with all the exclamation points? And that's where kind of the emotional intelligence piece, when you are writing something and you say, okay, wait, this person probably get really upset, right, if I use exclamation points, they think I'm yelling at them. I think recognizing kind of somebody where they're at, how they approach a certain situation and helping make sure they can walk through that in the way that's most comfortable for them is where emotional intelligence adds value.